Welcome to Talks at Google. I'm Lauren Witt and happy to be hosting this virtual event with you all today. I lead our global resilience team here at Google, which means we focus on high performance mindsets. How do we bring some of those cutting edge mental skills to our workforce? Before we get started today, I just want to remind you this discussion is for you to engage and join with us. So there are questions you can add throughout the conversation. Put them in the live chat. We will get to them at the end of our discussion. I'm super excited, fired up, does not even describe my emotions to bringing Jackie Joyner-Kersee with us today. We have her joining. If you are a sports fan at all, you know who Jackie is. She was named by Sports Illustrated as the greatest of all time. She was a basketball player, but her main sport for her Olympic career was track and field. She's a 4-time Olympian. She's a 6-time Olympic medalist. Now she is a philanthropist. She focuses on childhood education. She's an advocate in racial equality, social reform, and women's rights. Today, we're going to touch on a lot of those, especially what it takes to have the mindset of an Olympian. So it is my pleasure. Please join me in welcoming Jackie Joyner-Kersee to Talks at Google.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh, we are honored. I was a very young athlete when you wrote your book way back when, and I remember reading that and saying, I want to be an Olympian. That's my goal. So I was inspired by you as a youngster, and what an honor. I never anticipated a virtual conversation with you from my living room on all things mental performance.
Yes, and thank you so much. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here, and especially during this important time, right? The Olympics are happening. They're happening right now. The Olympics, the Paralympics, these games are going on. What was it like? I just want to know, like, what's it like watching now, reflecting back on all of those years of trials, victory, success, disappointment? Do they just come rushing back now?
Oh my gosh. I am so in awe of the athletes that are performing, competing at the Olympic Games, because the memories that come back is all the hard work, and you work for this moment. And now it's just you get out there and you perform, but it's just great to see the behind scenes, the different stories, the makeup of the athletes. Are they able to reach their ultimate goals, the things that they have been prepared to do?
And like, what a unique year. These athletes across the globe, they've gone through so much to get to the Olympics. They've been delayed a year. They're now performing. So many things have changed, but that mindset of an Olympian, like, that remains constant. And I'm curious, your 3 gold medals, you had 6 in total at the Olympic Games. You set records throughout your entire career. What is the mindset of a gold medalist? Like, what does it take in your brain to get to that moment?
The mindset is all a part of the preparation. Practice was extremely difficult. And by the time you got to the competition, you really just wanted to execute. Not what you wanted to do, what you should do is execute. And so you go through my husband, who coached me, and several others, but he would always put us in stressful situations and how we would react. And so everything was being more proactive, trying to stay positive. But throughout competition and throughout training, things happen. You get injured. How do you adapt? How do you adjust? Don't lose focus on your ultimate goal or where you're trying to get to. And you keep that in the forefront of everything that you're trying to achieve. But, it's easy said than done.
It's always easier said than done, right? But you're a living legend and example, and you had a couple pretty big injuries that you had to fight through. They potentially impacted you, falling just short of your goal a couple of times. And there has to be doubt. There has to be that emotional side of it. And so when you do experience doubt, how do you overcome that in this world where pressure is a privilege?
Yes, and I think how you overcome doubt is you have to go through things and you learn a lot about yourself. You know, you talk about the injury, just missing winning a gold medal for myself in '84. In the '84 Olympic trials, I had trained and ran well, broke the national record. Now they're picking me to win the gold medal. And so, as the games about to begin, I injured my hamstring probably 3 weeks prior to that. And now I had never been injured before. I'm going into the competition. I'm eager and ready to go. But there is a lingering doubt in my mind that something must be wrong because my leg is heavily bandaged. And I took on that attitude and I didn't go to the start line thinking like a champion. I went to the start line anticipating a pain that wasn't there, but because my leg was heavily bandaged, that meant something must be wrong. And so all the training, all the preparation for that moment, those 2 days, I forgot about it. When you train every 4 years for an opportunity to represent your country at the highest level. And so when I left Los Angeles, I left there with a mindset of saying, I want to be the toughest athlete out there if God blessed me to make another Olympic team. Because physically, I knew I had the ability to do it, but mentally, I wasn't tough or strong enough. So when you talk about how you adapt, how you deal with the doubt, you go through the experience and look yourself in the mirror and say that, how did I fall short? It had nothing to do with my preparation. My coaches and everyone had me ready. But because I internalized and said I wasn't ready, I performed like I wasn't ready. And don't get me wrong, you know, a silver medal is great, but I didn't train to be second best. I trained to be the best. And so at the age of 9, at the age of 14, I said I wanted to be make the Olympic team. I had this opportunity and I fell short. I disappointed myself, you know, because I didn't believe that I had the ability to do it. And that's why at the Los Angeles Games, I missed winning the gold medal by 5 points.
And that's heartbreaking to be 5 points away from this goal you've worked at your whole life, but specifically for the 4 years leading up to it. But there was something about what you were saying to yourself that allowed you to return to 3 more Olympic Games after that. Like, that was just the beginning for you, which is amazing. You went to Seoul, you went to Barcelona, you were back in Atlanta, like magic in all of those. But you've touched on this really important thing of like the self-talk. So if you could take me back to one of those Olympic gold medal races, as you're like walking up to that track, like, what are you telling yourself? What's in your head? What is this self-talk that you're affirming for yourself?
You know, when I'm coming through, you know, you go through the warm-up track and it's really, really just about executing. You're not really thinking a whole lot because our philosophy is if we think too much, we get paralysis by analysis. And that's not what you want. You want to be able to react. You want to be able to execute. So after going through what I had gone through in '84, in the '88, even when I had patella tendonitis, and I didn't let that bother me. I kept telling myself, you can do this. You can turn a doubter into a believer as long as you believe. Now it's time for you to get out there and execute. When everyone else counts you out, as long as you believe you can do it, you would get out there and you would get it done. And that's the kind of talk I would say to myself. Now, I don't want to think about how I got to run the hurdles, how I got to high jump, what I got to do in the long jump. At this time, I'm just going to react. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to enjoy it and do it to the best of my ability and know that my team has me ready. And now I just have to get out there and perform, you know, to the best of my ability.
And it's so powerful, right? Because we have teams. We all work in teams now. And I'm a retired athlete myself, as if I'm an amateur in college level. But we have these teams that we still work in. We have coaches and various mentors, managers. And it's still like that power of believing in yourself, doing the work so that when that moment of performance happens, like, you're in flow. You're not thinking,
Yes.
You're just responding. I love that.
Exactly. And that's what you want to do. You want to respond. And as an athlete and as a teammate, I had to always respect my coach. Even though my coach was my husband, I had to always remain coachable. No matter how great people said I were, or I was at that particular time, if I was going to be, I had to be a student of the game. I had to learn, but I also respect my coach as my coach.
And what a powerful statement for those athletes who are listening to our conversation now, or to the parents of athletes. You have to remain coachable. Like
Yes.
Olympic champions are saying, there's more for me to learn. I can improve. I can get better. So what a great thing there. When you went through your training, like there's 4 years in between these moments, these like just very small moments. How did you approach training? What did you focus on in training?
So for us, what we would focus on is where we wanted to end up at the end of the year. And then we would work our schedule from there forward and put into, if it was World Championship you're trying to prepare for, then where I want to be in August for World Championship, what I got to start doing in September or October to prepare myself to be ready to go in August. And so where we might go into different competitions, where I might just go into a meet where I'm just working on executing technique work and not worrying about how fast or how slow I might perform on that day, as long as I worked on the execution of, if it was running the hurdles and making sure that I'm pitching low on the hurdle to snap off the hurdle quickly. And even though I might not win the race, and other people, when I say others, the media and everyone's like, oh, she didn't run well. No, you can't get caught up into the expectation of others. You have to understand what you're working on, because it's the bigger picture that we're working towards. And that's to be ready for our nationals, and then ready to perform at the highest level, if it's the Olympic Games or the World Championship.
Yeah, there's this moment that we like to call at Google, like control the controllables. So like focusing on your goals, focusing on what you needed to get out of that session. Yeah. And we have to put the blinders on, right? Like the media, the news, whether it's a performance moment or just where we're living, the times that we're living in right now, sometimes we have to just focus on what we can influence and control. So there's so much appreciation for that as you approach your training.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. Is focus on the things you can control and not worry about the things you cannot. And that cannot, it must be a strong emphasis on that, because that becomes the negative that interfere with the positive of you being able to perform at the highest level.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, believing that you're able to accomplish means that you have to listen to those voices that are building you towards that, for sure.
Yes, and it's easy said than done. It's like when you injure, it's like, think positive. Like, I'm trying to think positive, but my leg is black and blue. What do you mean? But yes, but that's the discipline that comes in, and the belief, and believing in yourself, and also believing in your team.
Yeah, and with that belief of the team, like routines has to be part of it. Rest and recovery has to be part of it, right? So
yes.
How did you approach that routine of the Olympic cycle, or just the day in and the day out? Like, how much did routines impact your performance, and how did you think about rest and recovery in your routine?
Yes, so one of the things that we look at our schedule, so Wednesday was always an off day. And that whatever you had to do, if you had an appointment, you had to see your doctor, you can set it up on that Wednesday. And so everything was designed for Monday and Tuesday, very hard days. Thursday and Friday, looking to endurance days or long days running. But then also, if we were competing on Saturday, that if we had weightlifting on that Friday, that you would do the weightlifting after your competition on the Saturday, to make sure you got it in. And resting was very, very important. So it might be an active rest day where you just go out and you might walk, or you just might do drills. But then you come back and get ready to go, the next day's going really strong and hard. So it was always trying to find that balance, but also finding balance with the things you want to do away from the track, or away from our sport, but finding ways to enjoy yourself a part of this process. We work hard, and a lot of times, people think we don't have fun, but you do. You have a lot of fun. And that's where the balance come in, is that once we left the track, it's on the track. Now you want to go to the movie, you want to do this, you know, just find some other things that could relax you and allow your body to recover. I work with my physical therapist every day. We work from preventative, you know, so we stayed on top of things. We know if the muscle was being overworked, because there is a difference between sore muscle and then tightness of a muscle. And the soreness came from either we're working the muscle too much because it's tender at the touch. So that would the physio would be able to tell the coach, then he'll back it off and change, you know, the workout around. So it's really, really a real team effort. It's that, yeah, I might be the one out there doing all the work, but my coach and my physio and everyone else, you know, they put out what we call the master plan together, you know, and so you have to follow it.
Mm-hmm. And what a fascinating bridge to those who are tuning into our discussion today who work in business, and that how do you check in every day on what is your bandwidth, what is your fatigue factor, what do you need to make sure that tomorrow you're at your best. And you had a whole team of people around you, including your family, during all of this time frame. And I love it because I've heard your family referred to you as the Olympic track and field, like the royal family
of
the Olympic track and field. And I've read that a number of times. And we talk a lot about how important the environment, how important those folks that are around you and your team off the field or off the court or off the track are for you. So how did your family influence this career and all of this success? And what did it look like to have them impact your mindset?
You know, so having family around, before my brother and myself was family. And then I went to UCLA, and my husband had coached Florence Griffith Flojo at Northridge. And then Bobby and Florence, ended up leaving Northridge, coming to UCLA. So then Bobby is coaching Florence and myself, and we're just really teammates at the time. I go to visit my brother at Arkansas State, and I was showing him some pictures of my different teammates, and he picked out the one with Flojo, talking about, oh, I'm gonna marry her. I'm like, boy, get out of here. You're not even her type. Little did I know, we're training in 84. My brother moves to California. Him and Florence, you know, just connect right away. And then the next thing you know, we all make Olympic team. We go on in 88. Florence and I both win double gold. And then so you got the family. But the great thing about having your family there is that even though we're family, we're all competitors. And so if one did well, we like, okay, you know, because I trained with some of the best athletes in the world. It's just a list of them. And we always felt that any of us that's in a similar event, the gold medal got to go through one of us. So when we train, we push each other, because it's like there's no slacking, because I'm not going to give a person an opportunity to beat you, you know. So having the family there is good, but then also it's draining too at times, you know. Then when you're married to your coach, you don't get a breather. You just don't, you know. But you know, Bobby would put the plan together, and all we had to do, we get out there and we execute it. We have fun, we enjoy, you know, and then just seeing one another. And then when one falls short, you feel that, you know. It's just like watching the Olympic Games, you know, and knowing some of the athletes, and you want them to do so well. I just don't understand how my husband did it for so many years, because the anxiety, you know, he can't get out there and perform for me. So I know what that feels like now, being on the sideline, watching some of the athletes that we work with. And it's like, I want them to do well. And it's like, oh. And so when you got your family there, you all can embrace and, you know, like, come on, you got it. Because sometimes you need that, no matter how great people say you are or how well you're doing, you always need that whisper voice to say, you got this. Come on. Mm-hmm. And as much as you believe in yourself, you always, you know. So having your family there and your teammates there makes a big difference.
Just an incredible testament to the culture of excellence. And I'm going to ask, and I need you to be honest, who was dreaming of gold first, you or your brother? Like, where did that dream of Olympic gold and Olympic like performance level, like who started that?
I'm telling you now, I started running at the age of 9, and I wasn't one of the best girls, but I wanted to be good. And I said to myself, if I can improve a tenth of a second if I was running, or a half of an inch if I was jumping, I would go to practice every day. And my brother, he would go to practice every now and then, And so one time, he's bragging and boasting around his friends about, oh yeah, she go to practice every day, but I could take her. So we set up this match race. So from the stop sign to the mailbox, I outraced, I beat my brother. And I told him, I said, see, that's what practice would do for you. If you show up, but then, he gets the real applause because in 84, my brother won a gold medal in the triple jump. And I just missed the gold medal because I wasn't mentally tough, by 5 points. So he beat Florence and myself to the first gold medal in our family.
Okay. So he might have won the first gold medal, but I think the message I hear loud and clear is for all of those sisters that are growing up in neighborhoods across the world, a little bit of practice and you can beat your brother from the mailbox to the stop sign. Like, that's the goal.
Yes. Consistency. Show up every day. You don't have to be the best, but if you show up, and when the time comes, you will come out on top. Just show up every day. Work hard every day.
Show up. There's so much power in just showing up and
Yes.
doing the job. I love that. You've mentioned your husband is a coach. He coached you. He coaches many others. I know that we have leaders, we have managers, we have just coaches from across the sports world. They're all listening to us today. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, he certainly brings those coaching points home. I'm sure your dinner table is all about coaching and those tidbits. But what are some tips or advice that you've learned from coaching yourself or from his coaching that would be able to help managers and leaders build high performing individuals or teams during these unique times?
I can honestly say that I won't take credit for coaching myself. I always give credit to Bobby because Bobby understand his athlete. I say, and understanding the person that you're working with. It's okay to show vulnerability. When Bobby is delivering the same message and he recognized that it's not getting through to me, he would bring in someone else to deliver that same message, and not to be intimidated by that person, but to know and to trust in his ability that it's okay for someone else to also deliver the same message that he's been delivering. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking with me or with some of our other athletes. So I think having I call it having just a heart for people, but then truly understanding that each individual you're working with, where this person might need you to nudge them more, where this one I can't push them as much. And I think that to me made a big difference, in our camp. And one of the other things I could say is that even with us being husband and wife, that it was very important that we did not bring the athletics into our home, that we respect each enough. We lived in California years ago, and we had this garage that we turned it into a makeshift office, and that became the mad room. So whatever discussions or whatever disagreements, it had to happen in the mad room before we came into the main part of the house. So it can just be about us as a couple, not about, oh, how can I jump for it now? This me talking because I want to watch videos, I want to do everything to figure out what is it that I need to do. But Bobby, he turns it off. It was very important to turn it off, collectively come back together as a group. Then we would discuss, and then we move forward. But understanding that, and sometimes I think as a coach and as leaders, what you should be doing. The people you're working with. You understand the environment you're trying to create, and if it's an environment of excellence, that you must be extremely tough on your employees that might be what you think your superstars. You can't let them get away with anything, because then it sends the wrong message. Is that discipline, work ethic, all of this commitment, each and every one of us have to show that. If you're showing up late, coming up with excuses, then when it come time to execute, then I don't know if you're going to show up. I don't know if you're going to have an excuse. Then it's best that you stay at home and we'll figure out something else.
And what an interesting connection is. I know that we have a lot of parents who want their kids to be future youth. They're raising up, and many of them are coaching, especially at the young ages. And what a strong statement of, don't bring the coaching home. Don't bring the coaching into the house at the end of the day. And, have a place where you talk to your kids about their performance in sport. But then it sounds like when you came home, he was a husband, you were a wife, and you sort of let some of those athletic roles, you left them in the mad room, it sounds like.
Yes, that was the key. And that was very, very difficult for me to do, because as an athlete, I'm always trying to figure out ways I can improve. What is it that I need to do? And so Bobby is my eyes and my ears. So I'm asking questions and he's just really tuning me out, and then I'm getting frustrated because he's tuning me out. He goes, Jackie, no, that's for tomorrow. We would discuss that tomorrow at practice.
Yeah. Boundaries. He put boundaries around practice.
Yeah.
And was he involved with coaching during these most recent Olympics in Tokyo? Like, how was it for him navigating just the uncertainty and the just dynamics of everything changing? Was there anything interesting or unexpected that he learned sort of during this Tokyo season?
Oh my gosh. For whatever reason, Bobby is really, we call him a mastermind. So yes, we had 2 athletes that were in the Tokyo Olympics. And when California shut down, we would always do a lot of our training, in parks, and they shut down a lot of the parks. So he got the wheel out and, they would have to run up and down their streets, just trying to figure out how to get the workout in. And then when California shut down, then they went to Arizona. And the good thing about going to Arizona, because it was hot. And then all of a sudden now, as they're preparing for the Olympic trials, Eugene, Oregon ain't never been this hot. The temperature is 107 degrees, 115 degrees. Then the events are delayed. But Bobby had already taken his athletes through this kind of experiment, without knowing it, And so, yes, so they go on to Tokyo, and Allison Felix, make her 5th Olympic team, get the bronze medal in the 400 meters and win the 4x4. Sydney McLaughlin, another athlete Bobby coaches, not only win a gold medal, break the world record in the 400 meter hurdles, and then her and Allison both on the 4x4. So all the delay and the postponement, was extremely tough on them, but then to see them come out victorious, and, was really a blessing, and I just felt, because Bobby and I'm at home watching, because they're in Tokyo, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And here it is, I'm not a coach, but I'm on the sideline. And that's why I like, when you talk about reflect, I'm reflecting like, good God Almighty, if this is what he went through when I was competing, because the anxiety is unbelievable, and I was just like hoping and praying that they did well, and all the uncertainty, and having to live in the village, and then also trying to stay safe, so then not having fans, so now when you talk about a mindset, and many times I'm talking to both Sydney and Allison about, just taking the positive and block out the noise, and just remember, you work for this moment, and so it was challenging, but rewarding.
And again, what a great just like lesson of focusing on the positive, allowing the negative to fall away. That's how this happens. That's where this goes. I love that. And I realize now that like you're a fan and you're on the sidelines at home watching on TV like we are. So certainly you are now in your retirement stage, you're investing your energy in other things besides the track. And so you're a philanthropist, you're an advocate, you have a foundation. Can you tell me a little bit about where are you spending your energy and your attention these days?
Yes, so I started my foundation work back in 1988, and the idea came about in 1981 when I was a freshman. And unfortunately, I ended up losing my mom to uh, the worst form of meningitis. And so, as I traveled back from Los Angeles to East St. Louis, I went to this center where people poured into me, and I just wanted people to uplift my spirit to get me out of that mood of just being sad, and that community center was closed. So I just started thinking, where do the young people go? And then from that point on, I didn't know you needed funds or money to open up a center. So then I just started thinking, and then I made my second Olympic team in '88. Took my sponsorship dollars. I was a part of the Macy Day Parade. Took about 110 young people from different organizations I have been involved with: Honor Society, History Club, Girls Inc., and chaperones, to the Macy Day Parade. I just wanted the young people to see outside of our community of East St. Louis, and so, and as that continued on, and then in '96 broke ground on the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center we built and opened in 2000. We use sports as a hook to get the young people in the door. Want to expose them to the things they don't think they need to be exposed to, like making sure that all our young people can read at grade level. We do door-to-door transportation. We pick them up from school. We bring them to the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center. They go through my Winning in Life curriculum based around 14 different principles. We feed, they get a meal, and then they do the enrichment, go into our sports activities, and then go into what we call our life skills. And so it's just really, for me, it's just been something that it was very important for me to come back and live in the community, because I was living in Los Angeles, but I wanted them to be able to touch me and not just read about me in the newspaper or see me on television, that to know that I walk these streets. I have not walked in their shoes, but I understand that if you stay committed to something that you believe in, that and you work hard, that you can turn your dream into a reality as long as you put in the work. And so, and that's what we do at the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center. We sit on 44 acres. We have a head start. We start in a JJK Academy this fall, right after Labor Day, where we're just working with 18 kindergartens and 18 first graders as we continue to grow in the work that we're doing.
I
And we
love
have our
that.
STEM and our agriculture. We have a greenhouse, and just so many things I want to expose our families to, so they can be the best of the best.
Mhm. Winning at Life, what a fantastic name for the curriculum. And so the Jackie Joyner Foundation, for those listening, it still takes money to run. And so if you'd like to help fuel the dream, you can add and learn more about the foundation, but also donate either time or financially, however best suits for you. That address is jjkfoundation.org, and we'll show it up here on screen so that you can see it as well. So jjkfoundation.org. And you had to have learned from sports a lot, life lessons that you're bringing into either your Winning at Life curriculum or just the business of being a philanthropist and being an advocate. What are some of those lessons or skills that you learned as an athlete that you're bringing into your business world?
I would say one, I think being a great listener, also the discipline. When I talk about the Winning in Life curriculum, the 14 different principles: confidence, what is risk taking, wellness, service, values. And so as an athlete, you learn at a young age that consistency is very important. Being on time. My mother would always tell me, if someone was picking me up, don't have them waiting for me ready to go. And how all these, for me, how this is transferable but transformational in a way that it helped me to carry on to become one of the best. And when I say one of the best, it wasn't about winning. It was knowing that I put myself in a position where I could win, but knowing that I gave my best. And if I had given my best and I came second, then that was acceptable. And that's why 84 was that, yes, I might have given my best physically, but I didn't give my best mentally. And I fell short.
Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful statement, right? When we look back at regret on where did I fall short? Could I have done something different? And how do you bring some of those things into the business world? How do we let go of disappointments and refocus to continue to be our best?
Because I don't think that one, you should live in the past. You should learn from the past, and then you should build on it. But you also have to be honest with yourself. It's that, how can I improve? Am I listening to what's being asked of me to do? Can I get out of my own way? And even though I might know it all, but no, there's someone out there that knows a little bit more than I do. Now, why can I show vulnerability? Stay humble, but then also be strong-minded in a way that it is contagious in a positive way, because excellence is excellence. And I want to be around people that's breathing excellent so I can do an excellent job in what's being asked or requested of me.
Yeah, excellence. I think we're all striving. This has been excellence, just to share the screen with you and be able to ask you these questions. And I have one more question for you before we bounce over. There's a whole lot of comments and questions that have been dropping in. If you still are listening and you still have questions, drop them into the comments, and we're going to bounce over to answering as many questions as we can here in 1 second. But my final thing for you before we go over to theirs is that you're now changing the lives of young people. You are an advocate for them. There are parents, there are guardians, there are bonus parents who are out there who are raising up the next generation of kids. And these kids, they may not all be Olympians, they may not all be medalists, but what guidance or advice do you have for those parents, for those who are sort of raising up the next generation? What from your experience, what advice do you have for them?
My advice I would have for them is that, one, I started out at the age of 9 and I wasn't one of the best girls. It's someone who saw the potential in me and who poured into me and convinced me that, you can do this, So I want to say to the parents or to the coaches, to anyone out there that's working with young people, allow them to have fun, allow them to find their way, but don't take away, the hard work, and even when they're doing well, you still have to work hard, no matter how many steps or how many ladders you climb. The work hard is always constant. It never changes, So, but more importantly is to allow them to have fun, enjoy it, and parents be parents. Because if your child who is an athlete, if they want to cry, allow them to come to you and cry to you as their parent, not as the coach, and finding that separation. Now, yes, you could be out there, you could be watching, but let the coaches do their job. And if you have a disagreement, don't disagree in front of the child with the coach being there. Pull the coach to the side and say, can I talk to you? And, but anyway, I think you all should have fun, enjoy it, do this journey together, because when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they love it. But if you as a parent keep pushing, by the time they're in middle school, they might have all the skills in the world to be the very best, but they are just, rebel and say, I don't want to do it anymore.
That's like, I'm gonna write that down and take that home, is like, do the journey with them, be a part of that journey with them.
Yes.
That community, that team, that support system is what helps individuals be resilient. It's what helps them achieve their goals. And then also what you said is like, For our audience, 6-time Olympic medalist says hard work. Work
Yes.
hard. You got to keep
Yes.
working hard every day. You got to show up and keep
Yes.
working hard. So we're going to keep working hard here. Let's bounce over to some of the questions. We'll have a little fun with these. There's a ton of questions in here. So Jackie, we'll try to get through as many as we can. So feel free to answer as brief or as in-depth as you like. So if we can just pop up the first question here, that would be great. This is from Anna. What challenges did you face in your sports career that you relate to being a woman? How did you overcome those challenges?
I would say the challenges that I face when someone said you can't do something, I never put limits to what it is or what I was going to do, and never let anyone else define my worth or my value, always knowing what that is and continue to fight for it, even when others felt that you didn't deserve it. But it's not for them to say what you deserve. It's for you to say what you have earned and what you're worth, and you figure out a way to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Find a way.
Yes.
Thank you. What's the next question that we have coming up here? We'll show it on screen. So this is from James. The question is, how much of an influence does the lack of an athlete's in-person family and support network at events affect their performance? Also, thank you for being such an inspiration to young people. We saw this at the Olympics this year. We're probably going to see this continue to play out in the Paralympic Games, but how much of an influence does a lack of a family's in-person support impact performance?
You know what? I think if it wasn't in a pandemic year, I would answer that differently. But I can honestly say, because you've been so separated from your family and sometimes from your friends, and being at the Olympic Games, you just needed someone that you can just talk to, or someone can just hug you, or get that reassurance from your family. And then also the lack of fans. Some people really, really need fans. They need them there. They need to feel that. So I think it played a major role. And the reason I said I answered it differently, because when I was competing, sometimes, your family didn't understand that just because you're here at the games with me, I can't go to dinner with you. I got to focus, So a lot of things that you might have taken for granted is some of the things that you really miss, knowing that it wasn't there for you, just to be able to get you out of that space where all you're seeing in Olympic Village is the other athletes. You want to be able to just separate at times. And that's what your lack of family not being there make a big difference, a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. And what a fantastic question, and I appreciate it too, around professional athletes. But what about youth? What about how much does it matter, or how important is it for parents or guardians or caretakers to be able to show up for some of the youth sports?
Oh, I think it's huge. The youth always, I believe in working with, I call them the developmental young people that's coming up before they become your Olympic champions, and just to be able to see your smiling face, and it makes a difference for them, just being there, because sometimes they don't really understand why, and then they might start to blame themselves, and they really have nothing to do with it. And so it's really being able to have conversation prior to going to a competition, letting them know whether somebody might not be able to be here, why, explaining the why to them. And I think they adapt very well, and fully understand if you able to share with them why, that it has nothing to do with them. So don't blame this on yourself. Just know that the situation and the circumstances that's surrounding us is the why.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Thank you for the question. Is there another question we want to go ahead and pop up and take up next? The suspense. I love this. I love any comment that starts with an emoji with stars in their eyes. This is, pretty sure that's for you, Jackie. They are in awe and enamored with the conversation and appreciate you being here. I'm going to just translate that emoji for us. The question here is that women athletes are still being treated unfairly. You've been watching for decades. How often do you smile about what has improved versus gritting your teeth about what still needs to be fixed?
I would say, I think I'm gritting more. No, I think in light of everything that's been going on in the world today, that it allow you to put a smile on, but there's still some change need to come about. Some consistency, and hope that this, what the progress that women are making, that it is that you're able to see it on a much broader scale, not just in the sports arena, but across all specters, so that we can see that growth, that you're seeing the progress, and that you're having more conversations, and that these conversations are not abnormal, but they are the normal conversation, that this isn't a surprise. This is, we're seeing the change, we're seeing the impact, from people being in decision making, to being on boards, to being, fully vested in investing in women making progress.
Women in sports, women in business, women in
Yes.
society. There's a lot of conversation around that. I'm just curious from your experience, were you aware of differences as an athlete, or were you just competing in your thing and sort of reflecting back after the fact? Like, were you aware of the when you were an athlete of those things? How much did it influence you?
Oh yes, I definitely was aware. For years, that was one great thing about Bobby. Not only just coached us, but he also kept us informed and helped us to understand the barriers that we were breaking, and that we might not fully understand it during our time, but it would make a difference in the young women who would come after us. And so when it came down to that, if you know the premier events, people were coming, but you got to pay us the same as you paying the men. I'm considered one of the world's greatest. Then why should I not be paid at the same level? Because so a lot of those things that, you know, uh, you didn't, we thought about it, because I'm telling you, I trained with some male dominants, and they were like, oh, they never going to pay women this. And we looked up and like, we were already getting paid what the person didn't even know what we were getting paid. And we were like, how the nerve of you. I never forget that. And it is vivid right now. Now I can see we were stretching, and it was like, oh yeah, they'll never get paid. That. Like, oh, little you know, we getting paid more than that. But anyway.
Yeah, right. And
Yes.
and I'm curious.
And that
I'm
was
gonna
back in the 80s. So
way back in the 80s. And I want to just bring this little tidbit up before we go to the next question, because we haven't touched on it at all. But you also played basketball. You played at UCLA, and then you just retired from track and field and decided to be a professional basketball player in Richmond. So, like, I mean, I can't imagine what the pay for women in professional basketball was back in the 2000s, but like,
oh
how
yeah.
much are you loving, like, how far that sport has come, how far basketball has come, and are there any lessons from basketball? We have not even touched on that, but are there any lessons or stories from your basketball days that you want to share with us?
You know what? I can honestly say, from the standpoint of what I've learned, as on the field, but being off the field, to see, the progress of women, just to see, Candace Parker, and the excitement that she brings to be, on the table and going, toe to toe, with Shaquille, or, making sure that she making her point and exclamation mark behind it, and also how, when you look at the WNBA and you look at the NBA, how supportive they are of the women. And that's what you need, because I do think that it's very important that people understand that you're not trying to really shade or put men behind, because in order for change to happen, it must be inclusive of everyone, and all of us work together to see change come about. And that's what I believe, how change is going to happen in a healthy, way, that you're not trying to really isolate or be critical of one particular, group. We all need each other.
We all need each other. We're going to do this together.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me ask my little basketball moment there, in between our viewers' comments. But let's go back to the questions that are on the board there. If you have questions, we have a few more we're going to get to. But if you have a question, feel free to add them in the comments if you're watching. From Anu, I have watched you at the Olympics and been in awe. How do you teach the newer generation without saying, this is how you do it? So how do we evolve with the times, evolve with the newer techniques, newer equipment, newer gear, newer whole world, but also this newer generation? How do we coach them? How do we teach them without saying, this is how you do it?
Right. I come from a philosophy of, I meet them where they are, and I, ask them to share with me, what is it that I can teach you, and what is it that you can teach me, and what is it that you want from me. So even like here at my center, we don't really talk about track and field. We talk about fitness, because first thing they're like, I don't run no track. Yeah, but running is all a part of it. And so during the Olympics, we did a whole heptathlon day. I had so many girls standing long jump, and they want me to see them do this standing long jump. Then they want to, everybody want to race you, and everybody want to see me jump 24 feet. I'm like, I'm not going to be jumping no 24 feet, okay? But I can help you become a 24-footer. If you do X, Y, Z, you do these things. So I think meeting them where they are. And also I'm one that I believe in staying humble, and it's not how this is the way to do it, because I think people learn differently. But if I could allow them to, they show me, I see that glitter in the eye, and they like eager, they want more, then yes, that helps me to give them more. But with understanding, I'm just trying to meet them where they are and help them to become one of the best in whatever it is they want to do. But it goes back to the basics of hard work. You must be committed. You must sacrifice, and you must believe, and so when you understand sacrifice, okay, I couldn't go to my prom, and I know everybody want to go because my prom was the same time as my state meet. I made that sacrifice. It was a decision I had to make. What was more important to me. It was very important that I didn't let my teammates down. So when I'm talking to them, I'm like, is this about you, or is it about the team? Because we need you to help us do what we need to do as a team. So, yes. No, because I don't get to say, oh, no, this is how you do it. No, because all of us, we do it differently. But if I can show empathy and compassion to help them reach their ultimate goal, then I feel that we're on the same page.
And how valuable that point you made as well, of like, you chose to skip prom for state, a family member, a coach. Other people didn't make that decision. You were empowered as an athlete to choose your path in the career. And we often use the phrase, how do we win? What's important now? Like, what's important right now? What's important in this moment? What's important with this decision? How do we win? What's important now? And you had the power to make those decisions over your career.
Yes.
I think that's important for the parents and the coaches of this generation, that the athletes have the choice to choose
right.
What's important.
And then if you're all on the same page, then you'll realize, why did you set the prom during that time anyway? You want me to know what you're doing, but we're over here doing this. So how can we come together? So it's a win-win for everyone.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Let's go to one more question. I think we have time for one more maybe. So Gwendolyn, thanks for the question. How do you take your Olympic mindset into other areas of your life? What guides your decision-making beyond the Olympics? Well, I'm not sure there's much beyond the Olympics when you're in that moment. That is like all encompassing. It is a lifestyle, it is a career, but there are beyond the Olympics for athletes, and there's after the Olympics and that life after. So how do you take your Olympic mindset into other areas of your life, and what guides your decisions and decision-making beyond the Olympics?
So I would say that for me, my mindset started from probably the time I was born, and fully understanding the struggles that my parents went through. They were teenagers, 14 and 16 when they had my brother first. And then I'm the second child, the oldest girl. And my mother always believed in working hard, and never allowing anyone to give you anything. She taught me about reading the local newspaper, to be caught up on current events, to understand that you're not immune to anything that's happening, but be aware. And so I would say, and then just growing up, in really, really a tough community that I didn't know was tough at the time. I learned my survival skills when I was playing recess. You learn how to strategize, you learn how to plan, and you figure it out. You learn how to fall. So then as I continue on trying to become an athlete, that's why I was so really disappointing in '84, because all of a sudden the expectations of others, I'm like, oh, I was supposed to win, but then I didn't believe I was supposed to win. So that mindset, what you learn from the Olympics, but the mindset that you grow up in is that never give up, refuse to quit. When the others say it can be done, you turn the impossible into probable, because you believe in yourself. When everyone else counts you out, you believe. I always talk about never, ever giving up. And it's amazing, because all I had to do was say, I could do this. I never said I could do it. I kept thinking about, oh, something wrong with my leg, something wrong with my leg. And that's how I responded. So do everything with integrity. I'm committed. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. My word is my bond. And if I can't do it, I'm not afraid to say that I can't. And just because I can't, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just means that at that time, I couldn't get it done.
So powerful. We have about 2 minutes left, 60 seconds, if you will. And I should ask you all sorts of questions about your favorite Google products, the things that you dive into
Google
and
Mini.
use the most. Google Mini, you got a Mini running around your house. Fantastic. I love that. And I'd love just this last like 30 seconds or so, if you could tell me, this is selfish for me, what did it feel like when you would step up on that gold medal stand with your anthem playing? Like, can you just leave us with a little bit of inspiration on what does that feel like to be the greatest of all time?
You know what? It's one of the greatest feelings in the world. And I talk to young people and I tell them, stand on top of that podium. It's like getting a report card and seeing all A's on it and knowing that you aced it, and that your parents and everyone are going to be so proud of you. And that's what it's like, standing on top of that podium about all the people that others won't read about, won't know about, that they were able to put me in a position that I can stand on top of that podium. And all I do is stand up there and smile and let tears of joy come rolling down my face. Greatest feeling in the world.
Oh, well, thank you for that image of it's the family. Again, it goes back to the family, the community, the support system. You're doing this for them. I'm flipping through the comments over here, and there are so many that are, you're amazing, Jackie. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for sort of setting the bar for young athletes over all of these many years. And for me. Thank you for joining us today at Talks at Google. Very excited to have you here. Again, for folks listening, if you want to invest and support in fueling the dream, you can check that out at jjkfoundation.org. Make sure you tune in, learn more about Jackie's work, and commit to investing in the future generations. So, Jackie, thank you. For the audience, thanks for tuning in today. This is Talks at Google with Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Thank you.